The cafeteria fell silent. Every pair of eyes locked on the doorway where she stood, tall, dark-skinned, and utterly unbothered by the stares. Amara Chen had just walked into Hanol International School, and nothing would ever be the same. In a world where reputation is currency and love is war, one girl becomes the center of an impossible choice. Min-Jae Park, the untouchable golden boy with secrets buried under perfect grades and family expectations. Ethan Cross, the charming rebel who hides his loneliness behind cocky grins and dangerous charm. Both want her. Both will fight for her. But when jealousy turns to sabotage and rumors threaten to destroy her, Amara must decide. Does she choose the boy who risks everything to defend her honor, or the one who burns the world down to prove her innocence? This is Hearts in Transit, where love doesn't play fair, and the heart wants what it wants. Hit that subscribe button, and buckle up for a story that will wreck you in the best way possible. Let's go. The chemistry textbook hit the floor with a crack that echoed through the hallway. Amara froze mid-step as 20 pairs of eyes swiveled toward her. She'd been in South Korea for exactly 4 hours, at Hanol International School for approximately 12 minutes, and she'd already committed her first social crime, dropping her books like some clumsy protagonist in a bad drama. "Great start, Amara," she muttered under her breath, crouching down to gather the scattered papers. Korean characters swam across the worksheets, incomprehensible and slightly mocking. Moving from Toronto to Seoul had seemed like an adventure when her diplomat mother pitched it over dinner 3 months ago. Now, surrounded by students who looked like they'd stepped out of a fashion magazine, Amara wasn't so sure. "You need help." The voice came from above her, accented but clear. Amara looked up into a face that could have launched 1,000 skincare campaigns. Sharp jawline, serious dark eyes, perfectly styled black hair. The boy was already kneeling, gathering her papers with efficient movements that somehow looked elegant. "I've got it. Thanks," Amara said, reaching for the same worksheet he was picking up. Their fingers brushed. He pulled back like she'd burned him, and something flickered across his face. Surprise, maybe, or discomfort. Amara's stomach tightened. She'd heard about Korea's beauty standards, the colorism that ran deep in East Asian cultures. Maybe this was it. Maybe this was the moment where someone made her feel unwelcome. But the boy just straightened up, holding out her papers with a slight bow. "I'm Min-Jae. Park Min-Jae. You're the new transfer student, right? From Canada." "Word travels fast," Amara said, standing and taking her papers. She was tall for a girl, 5'9", but Min-Jae still had a few inches on her. "Amara Chen." "Well, Amara Williams Chen. My mom's Ghanaian, Dad's Chinese-Canadian, and yes, before you ask, I speak English, some French, terrible Mandarin, and about 5 words of Korean." The corner of Min-Jae's mouth twitched. Almost a smile. "That's 4 more words than most international students start with. Welcome to Hanol." He glanced at her schedule, which had fallen face up. "We have AP Literature together. 3rd period. I can show you where it is if you want." "That would be... well. A new voice cut through the hallway, and Amara turned to see another boy approaching. This one all confidence and swagger, with lighter brown hair that definitely broke school dress code regulations, and a smile that probably broke hearts. "Min-Jae making friends? Never thought I'd see the day. I'm Ethan. Ethan Cross." He stuck out his hand, Western style, and his grin widened when Amara shook it. "Let me guess," confused, overwhelmed, wondering why everyone's staring. "Pretty much," Amara admitted. "It's because you're gorgeous and new, in that order," Ethan said smoothly. Behind him, Min-Jae made a sound that might have been a scoff. "Also because you're the first black student at Hanol, like ever. No pressure or anything." "Ethan," Min-Jae said quietly, but there was warning in the word. "What? I'm just being honest." Ethan's eyes hadn't left Amara's face. "You're going to be the most popular girl in school by lunch. Might as well get used to it now." He plucked her schedule from Min-Jae's hands before the other boy could protest. "Ooh, AP Lit, Advanced Calc, Korean Language 4? Somebody's ambitious. I'm in your calc class. We can partner up for the problem sets." "She already has help," Min-Jae said, his voice still quiet but somehow harder. He took the schedule back from Ethan with deliberate precision. "I'm in all the same classes. I'll show her around." Ethan's grin sharpened into something more competitive. Yeah? Well, I'm in half her classes, and I'm way more fun than Mr. Perfect GPA over here. Amara should have options, don't you think? Amara looked between them, Min-Jae with his rigid posture and careful politeness, Ethan with his easy charm and challenging stare. The air between the two boys felt electric with something she couldn't quite name. Tension, history, competition. How about, Amara said slowly, you both stop talking about me like I'm not standing right here and I figure out my own way around. I'm perfectly capable of reading a map. For a second, both boys just stared at her. Then Ethan laughed, loud and genuine. Oh, I like you already. Min-Jae, we're keeping this one. We. Min-Jae's eyebrow rose fractionally. Fine. I'm keeping this one. Ethan winked at Amara. Fair warning, Min-Jae here is student council president, top of every class, and basically Korea's answer to a Renaissance man. He'll help you with homework. I, on the other hand, will help you have actual fun. Choose wisely. He sketched a mock bow and sauntered off down the hallway, leaving a wake of whispers behind him. Min-Jae watched him go with an expression Amara couldn't read. Then he turned back to her, and some of the stiffness left his shoulders. Sorry about him. Ethan is. Ethan. You two friends. Complicated. Min-Jae shifted her papers into a neat stack. We've known each other since middle school. He's half Korean, half American, grew up in both countries. He doesn't really fit in with the Korean students or the international students. So he paused, choosing his words carefully. He does his own thing, makes his own rules. And you? I follow the rules. Min-Jae handed back her papers. Usually. Come on. First period is about to start, and the vice principal is strict about tardiness. As they walked through the hallways, Amara felt the weight of dozens of stares following her. Min-Jae seemed to notice it too, because he shifted slightly, positioning himself between her and the worst of the gawkers. A subtle shield. It was kind, in a way that made Amara's chest warm unexpectedly. Is it always going to be like this? She asked quietly. Min-Jae glanced at her. For the first time, his serious expression softened into something almost gentle. Give it a week. Koreans are curious about what's different, but once they get used to you, they'll calm down. And if anyone gives you trouble... He paused at a classroom door. Tell me. Okay. There was something protective in the way he said it, something that made Amara study his face more closely. Min-Jae Park was handsome in an understated way, the kind of handsome that snuck up on you, all clean lines and quiet intensity. And right now, that intensity was focused entirely on her. Okay, Amara said. Thanks, Min-Jae. He ducked his head slightly, and was that a hint of color in his cheeks? It's nothing. I'll see you third period. Then he was gone, slipping into the crowd of students with practiced ease. Amara took a breath and pushed open her classroom door. Showtime. By lunch, Amara had confirmed 3 things. Korean high school was nothing like Canadian high school, her Korean language skills were embarrassingly inadequate, and every single student at Hanol knew her name. The cafeteria proved this last point spectacularly. The moment she walked in, conversations paused, heads turned, and someone actually dropped their tray. Jesus, Amara muttered, grabbing a tray and joining the lunch line. She just loaded up on kimchi and rice when she heard her name called from across the cafeteria. Amara! Over here! Ethan was waving from a table packed with international students, a mix of Korean Americans, Europeans, and what looked like a few South Asian kids. They were the loud table, the one where laughter carried over the general cafeteria. Ethan had saved her a seat. But then she spotted Min-Jae at another table, surrounded by Korean students who looked equally polished and put together. He caught her eye and gave a small nod, a silent invitation. 2 tables, 2 very different crowds, 2 boys watching her choose. Amara made a split-second decision and walked to an empty table by the window, sitting down alone. Let them come to her if they wanted. She wasn't about to become a prize in whatever game this was. She'd barely taken 3 bites when both boys appeared at her table from opposite directions, like they'd choreographed it. "This seat taken?" Ethan asked, already sliding into the chair across from her. "I was going to ask the same thing," Min-Jae said, taking the seat to her right. Amara looked between them. Seriously? What? Ethan's grin was unrepentant. I told you I'd help you have fun. Can't have fun eating alone. And I said I'd help you navigate the school, Min-Jae added. That includes social navigation. Social navigation, Amara repeated. Is that what we're calling this? Within minutes, both tables had merged around hers. Internationals on one side, Korean students on the other, with Amara firmly in the middle. The conversation was chaos, a mix of English and Korean and laughter, but underneath it all, Amara could feel the undercurrent. The way Min-Jae's friends kept glancing at Ethan's crew with barely concealed disdain. The way Ethan's group seemed to think the Korean students were stuck up. And right at the center of it all, Min-Jae and Ethan, locked in some kind of silent battle over who could make Amara smile more. So Amara, said Hannah, one of Min-Jae's friends, a petite girl with perfect makeup. How are you finding Seoul so far? Overwhelming but interesting, Amara answered honestly. Everything's so fast-paced here. And the fashion is insane. I feel underdressed. You look great, Ethan said immediately. Don't let these fashion robots make you think otherwise. Fashion robots. Hannah's smile tightened. At least we make an effort. Unlike some people who think breaking dress code is a personality trait. Ouch, Ethan said, not looking remotely wounded. Careful, Hannah. Your jealousy's showing. Jealous? Of what exactly? Okay, Min-Jae cut in smoothly. Let's not do this. Amara, you mentioned you're taking Korean language for. How's your Korean actually? You said 5 words earlier. Amara laughed. I was being generous. I can say hello, thank you, sorry, and I can count to 10. That's about it. My mom thought immersion would be good for me, but honestly I'm drowning. I can tutor you, Min-Jae offered immediately. Korean literature is my best subject, and language learning follows similar patterns. We could meet after school a few times a week. Or, Ethan interjected, you could hang out with native speakers in actual real-world situations. I know this amazing pojamaka, street food tent, where the Ajumma barely speaks English. Total immersion, way more fun than textbooks. She needs structure, Min-Jae said. Proper grammar foundation. She needs to actually enjoy learning, Ethan countered. Otherwise, she'll just hate Korean forever. I'm right here, Amara reminded them. And I can make my own decisions about how I learn, thanks. Both boys had the grace to look slightly embarrassed. Sorry, Min-Jae said quietly. Yeah, my bad, Ethan added, but his grin suggested he wasn't sorry at all. The lunch period continued in that vein, Min-Jae and Ethan subtly competing over everything from who could explain the school's complex social hierarchy better to who knew more about Amara's favorite music. It would have been annoying if it wasn't also kind of amusing. And if Amara was being honest with herself, a little bit flattering. When the bell rang, Ethan stood up with theatrical reluctance. Duty calls. I've got calc, and someone's got to keep the teacher from being completely boring. Amara, I'll save you a seat. We have AP Lit next, Min-Jae said to Amara. I'll walk you. Of course you will, Ethan said under his breath, but loud enough for everyone to hear. He winked at Amara and sauntered off, his international crew following like he was some kind of Pied Piper. Min-Jae's friends dispersed more quietly, with polite goodbyes and curious glances at Amara. Hannah lingered for a moment, her expression calculating. You should be careful, she said to Amara, her voice low. Getting between Min-Jae and Ethan. Their rivalry is legendary here. It won't end well. I'm not getting between anything, Amara said firmly. I'm just trying to survive my first day. Hannah smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. Sure. Good luck with that. Then she was gone, leaving Amara with a vaguely uneasy feeling. Don't worry about Hannah, Min-Jae said as they walked to AP Lit. She means well, but she tends to overdramatize things. Is she wrong, though? About you and Ethan. Min-Jae was quiet for a long moment. Ethan and I have history. We used to be close, before. Things got complicated. Now we're just different. We want different things, believe in different approaches to life. It creates tension. And what do you want? Amara asked. Min-Jae looked at her, and there was something vulnerable in his eyes. Lately? I'm not sure anymore. AP Literature turned out to be Amara's favorite class so far. The teacher, Ms. Kim, was sharp and funny, and the discussion on post-colonial narratives actually engaged her brain in a way that felt familiar. Min-Jae sat next to her, occasionally sliding over notes when the Korean academic terminology got too dense. His handwriting was immaculate, every character perfectly formed. "You're really good at this," Amara whispered during a group discussion period. "I like stories," Min-Jae whispered back. "They make sense in a way that real life doesn't. Everything has structure, purpose, meaning." "Real life has meaning too," Amara said. "It's just messier." "Exactly. That's the problem." But he was smiling when he said it, a real smile that transformed his serious face into something warm and almost boyish. After class, Min-Jae walked her to the library, pointing out useful resources and explaining the school's labyrinthine library system. He showed her a quiet corner on the third floor where almost no one studied, tucked behind the international relations section. "This is my spot," he admitted. "I come here when I need to think. But you can use it too if you want. For homework or whatever." "Thanks," Amara said, genuinely touched. There was something intimate about sharing a secret space, something that felt like trust. "This is really nice of you, Min-Jae." He ducked his head again, that same hint of color in his cheeks. "It's nothing. I want you to feel welcome here. I know it's hard, being the new student. Being different. Do you feel different?" Amara asked, curious. "You seem to fit in perfectly." Min-Jae's laugh was bitter. "I fit in because I've learned to play the part. Perfect grades, perfect manners, perfect everything. But it's exhausting, always meeting everyone's expectations. Sometimes I think Ethan has the right idea, just not caring what people think." "But you do care." "Yeah," Min-Jae said softly. "I care too much. Always have." They stood there in the quiet library alcove, and Amara felt something shift between them. A connection forming, delicate but real. Min-Jae Park wasn't just the perfect student council president. He was lonely, pressured, human. "For what it's worth," Amara said, "I think you're doing great. And you don't have to be perfect around me. I literally dropped all my books in the hallway this morning. I'm the last person to judge." Min-Jae's smile was grateful. "I'll try to remember that." The moment broke when Amara's phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "This is Ethan. Got your number from the student directory. Don't let Min-Jae bore you to death in the library. Come to the courtyard after school. Real soul experience awaits." Amara showed Min-Jae the text. His expression shuddered immediately. "You should go if you want. Ethan knows the city better than I do." "Are you okay?" "Fine." But his voice was tight. "I have student council anyway." "But Amara." He met her eyes. "Be careful with Ethan. He's a good person, but he plays games sometimes. Makes everything into a competition. Even me." Min-Jae looked like he wanted to say something, but instead he just shook his head. "I'll see you tomorrow. Text me if you need anything." He left before Amara could respond, his shoulders rigid under his perfect uniform blazer. Amara stared at Ethan's text message, feeling like she just stepped into something far more complicated than a simple high school rivalry. The courtyard after school was packed with students in various uniforms, some heading to cram schools, others to clubs. Ethan stood out immediately. He was surrounded by his international crew, laughing at something on someone's phone, looking completely at ease in a way that Min-Jae never quite managed. "Ama!" he called when he spotted her, and Amara's stomach did a weird flip at the nickname. "You came. I was worried Perfect Prefect had locked you in the library." "His name is Min-Jae," Amara said, joining the group. "And he was actually really helpful." "I'm sure he was. Min-Jae's great at being helpful. It's like his whole personality." Ethan slung an arm around Amara's shoulders, casual and warm. "But helpful is boring. Come on, I'm taking you to the best tteokbokki place in Gangnam, and you're going to practice your Korean on the ajumma there. She's terrifying, but she makes killer food." "I really can't speak Korean," Amara protested. "That's what makes it fun. Learning through chaos and spicy rice cakes. Trust me, this is way better than flashcards." Against her better judgment, Amara let Ethan lead her onto the subway, his international crew chattering around them in a mix of languages. Ethan kept up a running commentary on everything they passed, the best PC bangs for gaming, which convenience stores had the best ramen, where to buy cheap makeup in Myeongdong. "You know a lot about Seoul," Amara observed. I've lived here on and off since I was 12, Ethan said. My mom's Korean, Dad's American military. They divorced when I was a kid, so I bounced between Seoul and California. Never quite fit in either place, you know. Too American for Korea, too Korean for America. That sounds hard. Ethan shrugged. You learn to adapt. Make your own space. That's why I like the international crew. We're all third culture kids, stuck between worlds. We get each other. He looked at her with sudden intensity. I bet you get it too. Chinese and Ghanaian in Canada. You're like the ultimate third culture kid. Fourth culture? Technically, Amara said. But yeah, I get it. See? This is why we're going to be friends. Ethan's grin was bright. Min-Jae's great, but he doesn't understand what it's like to not fit in. He's never had to. He's Korean royalty, basically, good family, good looks, good at everything. Must be nice. There was something bitter in Ethan's tone, something that reminded Amara of Min-Jae's earlier comments about their complicated friendship. Whatever had happened between these two ran deep. The tteokbokki place was exactly as advertised. A tiny street stall with plastic stools and an ajumma who looked like she could kill you with one glare. Ethan ordered in rapid Korean, then pushed Amara forward. Your turn. Ask her for extra fish cakes. I don't know how to. Try. She won't bite. Probably. Amara stumbled through a request in broken Korean, mispronouncing half the words. The ajumma stared at her for a long, terrifying moment. Then she burst out laughing and said something that made Ethan crack up. What? What did she say? She says your Korean is terrible, but you're brave for trying. Ethan translated, still laughing. She likes you. That's high praise, trust me. They ate tteokbokki so spicy Amara's eyes watered, and Ethan taught her important phrases like, less spicy, please, and where's the bathroom, and this is delicious. The ajumma kept adding extra food to their plates, waving away payment, clearly charmed by Amara's attempts at Korean. As the sun set and Seoul's neon lights flickered to life, Ethan walked Amara toward her apartment building. The city was beautiful at night, all glowing signs and bustling energy. Thanks for today, Amara said. This was actually really fun. See? I told you I was the fun one. Ethan's smile was smug but genuine. Min-Jae can help you with homework, but I'll help you actually live in Seoul. Deal. You two really need to sort out whatever rivalry you have going on, Amara said. Nah, where's the fun in that? But Ethan's eyes were serious. Look, I like you, Amara. You're smart, you're funny, and you don't take anyone's bullshit. I'm just being upfront about it. Min-Jae is going to do his whole noble, reserved thing, try to win you over with poetry and perfect manners. I'm not that patient. So yeah, I'm flirting with you. Just so we're clear. Amara's heart did that flip thing again. You're very direct. Life's too short to play games. Besides, I think you like the honesty. He wasn't wrong. There was something refreshing about Ethan's straightforwardness after a day of navigating Korean, social hierarchies, and unspoken rules. I came here to study, Amara said carefully. Not to get involved in some dramatic love triangle. Who said anything about love? Ethan's grin was wicked. I'm just trying to be friends. If something more happens, well, that's just a bonus. He sketched that same mock bow from this morning. See you tomorrow, Amma. Sweet dreams. Amara watched him walk away, hands in pockets, whistling something tuneless. Her phone buzzed. A text from Min-Jae. Did you make it home okay? Sorry for leaving abruptly earlier. Let me know if you need help with the homework from today. She smiled despite herself and replied, Home safe. Thanks for checking. See you tomorrow. His response was immediate. Sleep well. Amara climbed the stairs to her apartment, her mind spinning. One day at Hanol International School, and she'd somehow become the center of attention for two very different, very attractive boys. This was not what she'd signed up for. But as she got ready for bed, Amara couldn't help grinning at her reflection. Min-Jae with his quiet intensity and hidden vulnerabilities. Ethan with his bold charm and easy confidence. Both clearly interested. Both completely opposite. This year was going to be complicated. If you're enjoying Amara's story so far, make sure to hit that subscribe button. This love triangle is about to get so much messier. Trust me, you won't want to miss what happens next. The next few weeks settled into a strange pattern. Min-Jae helped Amara with Korean language and literature, patient and thorough, meeting her in his secret library corner twice a week. Ethan took her exploring Seoul every Friday after school, introducing her to hole-in-the-wall restaurants and vintage shops in Hanol. Both boys were constant presences in her life, and the school watched their competition with fascination. Team Min-Jae formed among the Korean students. They left encouraging notes in Amara's locker, invited her to study groups, made sure she wasn't alone at lunch. Team Ethan rallied among the internationals. They added her to group chats, invited her to weekend hangouts, treated her like she'd always been part of their crew. Amara tried to stay neutral, but it was getting harder. Because the more time she spent with both boys, the more she genuinely liked them. And the more she liked them, the more she noticed the little things. Like how Min-Jae brought her favorite tea to their study sessions without her asking. How he'd started smiling more, his serious expression softening whenever she made him laugh. How he sometimes looked at her like she was something precious and impossible. Or how Ethan always walked on the traffic side of the sidewalk. How he remembered every little detail she mentioned in passing, her favorite color, her mom's birthday, the name of her childhood dog. How his flirting had shifted from playful to something deeper, something almost tender. It all came to a head during the Mid-Autumn Festival preparation. The school's cultural committee was organizing a massive event, and somehow Amara, Min-Jae, and Ethan ended up on the same team, responsible for creating a fusion performance that represented both Korean and international cultures. Their first meeting was in the school's drama room, and the tension was immediate. "We should do a traditional Korean fan dance," said Hannah, who was also on the team. "It's elegant and culturally significant." "That's boring," Ethan countered. "Half the school is international. We should do something modern, like a K-pop fusion dance." "K-pop is literally Korean popular music," Hannah said icily. "How is that international?" "Because it's influenced by hip-hop, R&B, electronic music from all over the world. That's the whole point of fusion. Maybe we could combine both ideas," Amara suggested. "Traditional Korean dance with modern music? Best of both worlds." "That's actually brilliant," Min-Jae said, and the warmth in his voice made Amara's cheeks heat. "We could use traditional choreography, but remix the music with contemporary beats." "Amara, you said you used to dance, right?" "Ballet and contemporary, yeah. I'm not great, but I know the basics." "Perfect. You could help choreograph." Min-Jae pulled out his phone, already taking notes. "Ethan, you're good with music production. Could you handle the remix?" "Could I?" Ethan's grin was confident. "I'll make it amazing. But I want creative control over the sound design." "Fine. Hannah, you and the others can work on costumes and staging." Min-Jae was in full student council president mode, efficient and organized. "We have 3 weeks. That's tight but doable if we work hard." What followed were 3 weeks of intense collaboration and escalating tension. Min-Jae and Ethan disagreed on everything from tempo to costume colors to stage blocking. Every meeting devolved into arguments. "The transition is too abrupt," Min-Jae insisted during one rehearsal. "We need smoother choreography there." "The abrupt transition is the point," Ethan shot back. "It's edgy, unexpected, unlike your safe, boring version." "Safe and boring? At least my version is technically sound. Yours is just chaos masquerading as creativity." "Guys," Amara cut in, exhausted. "We're supposed to be working together. Can you both just compromise for once?" They both turned to her, then to each other, then back to her. Something passed between the three of them in that moment. A shift, a recognition. They were locked in this triangle, and none of them knew how to escape it. "Sorry," Min-Jae said quietly. "You're right. Ethan, what if we keep your transition but smooth out the lead-in? Meet in the middle." Ethan studied him for a long moment. "Yeah, okay. That could work." They made it work. Somehow, despite the constant friction, they created something beautiful, a performance that blended traditional Korean fan dancing with contemporary choreography, set to Ethan's incredible remix of traditional Gaejeum music and modern electronic beats. Amara choreographed the fusion sections, pulling from her ballet training and YouTube tutorials on Korean dance. But the real magic happened in the small moments between rehearsals. Like when Min-Jae stayed late to help Amara perfect a particularly difficult turn sequence, his hands gentle on her waist as he guided her through the movement. Or when Ethan brought everyone coffee during a marathon rehearsal weekend, and somehow Amara's had exactly the right amount of sugar, even though she'd never told him her preference. One evening, after everyone else had left, Amara found herself alone in the drama room with both boys. They'd been running the final sequence, and now they sprawled on the floor, exhausted and sweaty. "We're actually going to pull this off," Ethan said, staring at the ceiling. "I honestly didn't think we could work together long enough." "We make a good team," Min-Jae admitted, "when we're not arguing." "So, never," Ethan said, but he was smiling. "Pretty much never," Min-Jae agreed. Amara laughed, and both boys turned to look at her with matching expressions of fondness that made her breath catch. "What?" she asked. "Nothing," they said simultaneously, then glared at each other. "Okay, that's creepy," Amara said. "Stop being in sync. It's weird. We used to be in sync about everything," Ethan said, his voice going quieter. Before what?" Amara asked. The boys exchanged a look. Some old wound, still raw. "Before I told him I was applying to universities in America," Min-Jae said finally. "My parents expect me to stay in Korea, take over the family business. But I want to study literature, maybe become a professor. Ethan was the first person I told, and I told him he was crazy for even considering it," Ethan finished. "I said he'd never go through with it, that he'd cave to his parents' pressure like he always does. I was harsh about it." "You were honest about it," Min-Jae corrected. "And you were right. I didn't go through with it. I let my parents talk me into staying in Korea, studying business. I resented you for being right. And I resented you for proving me right," Ethan said. "For being exactly what I accused you of, someone who couldn't stand up for what they wanted." The silence that followed was heavy. Amara could see the pain in both their faces, the friendship that had fractured over expectations and disappointments. "That's incredibly sad," Amara said softly. "You were both just kids dealing with impossible pressure. You both deserve better." "That's what I've been saying," Ethan muttered. "I wasn't talking about you specifically," Amara said. "I meant both of you deserved better than to lose a friendship over it. Min-Jae deserved support, not judgment. And Ethan, you deserved not to be resented for telling the truth." Min-Jae sat up, wrapping his arms around his knees. "You're right. I never apologized for pushing you away. I'm sorry, Ethan. You were trying to help, and I made you the villain because I was angry at myself." Ethan was quiet for a long moment. Then, "I'm sorry too. For being harsh. For not understanding how hard it was for you." They looked at each other, and something eased between them. Not forgiveness exactly, but acknowledgement. A first step. "See what you do," Ethan said to Amara, his grin crooked. "You walk into our lives and start fixing things. It's annoying. Incredibly annoying," Min-Jae agreed, but he was smiling. "I'm not fixing anything," Amara protested. "I'm just pointing out the obvious." "Whatever you say, Amma." Ethan stood up, stretching. "Come on, it's late. Let me walk you home." "I'll walk her home," Min-Jae said immediately, standing too. "It's on my way. It's literally the opposite direction from your house, Min-Jae. Don't lie." "Fine. Then we'll both walk her home." So they did, one boy on either side of Amara, arguing good-naturedly about the festival performance and tomorrow's classes, and whether the new Marvel movie was worth seeing. And Amara, caught between them, felt her heart pull in two different directions. Because Min-Jae was everything thoughtful and steady. He made her feel safe, understood, like she could be herself without pretense. When he looked at her, really looked at her, Amara felt seen in a way that was both thrilling and terrifying. And Ethan was freedom and spontaneity. He made her laugh, pushed her out of her comfort zone, showed her parts of soul and herself she didn't know existed. When he smiled at her, Amara felt brave enough to take on the world. How was she supposed to choose between them? How could she choose when choosing would mean hurting one of them? And more than that, now that they were becoming friends again, how could she be the thing that drove them apart a second time? The festival arrived, and their performance was a triumph. The entire school packed into the auditorium to watch, and when Amara, Min-Jae, Ethan, and the rest of their team took the stage, the energy was electric. The fusion of traditional and modern, of Korean and international, was exactly what they'd hoped for, beautiful and unexpected and moving. Amara danced her heart out, pouring all her confused emotions into every movement. When she glanced stage left, Min-Jae was watching her with something like wonder. When she glanced stage right, Ethan was grinning like she'd hung the moon. The applause when they finished was thunderous. Backstage, their team group hugged, high on adrenaline and success. Hannah actually complimented Ethan's music. Ethan actually thanked Min-Jae for his leadership. It was a moment of perfect unity. But then the cast party started, and reality crashed back in. Someone, Amara never found out who, started a drinking game where people had to confess secrets or take a shot. It was stupid and juvenile, but half the school was doing it, riding the high of a successful festival. And then someone asked, "Okay, real talk. Amara, Min-Jae, Ethan. What's actually going on between you three? Everyone wants to know." The room went quiet. Every eye turned to them. Amara felt her stomach drop. "There's nothing going on. We're friends." "Friends who look at each other like that?" someone called out. "Come on. This is the most obvious love triangle in school history." "It's not a triangle," Ethan said, his voice sharp. "It's just complicated. Because you both like her," Hannah said, and there was something mean in her smile. "And she can't decide between you. That's what makes it complicated." "Hannah," Min-Jae said, low and warning. But the damage was done. The room buzzed with gossip. Team Min-Jae and Team Ethan started arguing about who Amara should choose. Someone pulled up an Instagram poll. It was a nightmare. Amara stood up, her face burning. "I need air." She pushed through the crowd and out into the school courtyard, her heart hammering. Behind her, she heard Min-Jae and Ethan calling her name, but she didn't stop. They caught up to her by the school gates. "Amara, wait," Min-Jae said. "I'm sorry. This got out of hand." "You think?" Amara spun to face them. "I didn't ask for this. I didn't ask to be the center of your competition. I just wanted to make friends, fit in, survive high school. But now everyone's treating me like some prize to be won, and I hate it." "You're not a prize," Ethan said fiercely. "You're a person, an amazing person who deserves better than this circus." "Then why are you both part of it?" Amara demanded. "Why do you keep competing over me? Can't you just, I don't know, back off? Give me space." The hurt on both their faces was immediate and raw. "Is that what you want?" Min-Jae asked quietly. "For us to leave you alone?" Amara's throat tightened. No, that wasn't what she wanted. But she didn't know what she wanted anymore. "I want," she said carefully, "for this to stop being a game. I want to figure out how I feel without the entire school watching. I want you two to stop seeing each other as competition and start seeing each other as friends again. I want—" She trailed off, exhausted. "I don't know. I just want things to be less complicated." "Life doesn't work that way," Ethan said. "Feelings are messy. Complicated. There's no clean solution here, Amma. Maybe not. But we can try." Amara looked between them. "Can we just pause? All of us. No grand gestures, no competing, no trying to win anything. Just be normal for a while. Please." Min-Jae and Ethan exchanged a glance. Some silent communication passed between them. "Okay," Min-Jae said. "If that's what you need." "Yeah," Ethan agreed. "We can do normal. Or at least try." But as Amara walked away from them that night, she knew normal was impossible. Because the truth was, her feelings weren't paused. They were growing stronger every day, pulling her in two directions at once. And sooner or later, something would have to give. The question was, which direction would she choose? And who would she break in the process? Make sure you're subscribed because this story is about to take a turn none of us saw coming. Hit that like button and drop a comment telling me who you think Amara should choose. Team Min-Jae or Team Ethan. The next chapter drops soon, and trust me, you won't want to miss it.